for that scan detected the internal spiral ramp, if you will. We've all heard
Mm-hmm.
of that. But then the scan after that didn't detect the internal spiral ramp, but did detect this void that the other scan didn't. So scans can produce some contradictory evidence, and hopefully we can get more information and more understanding of these various voids that have been detected by scans.
Well, I am not familiar with all of the ones that went before, but were they all indicative? I mean, this void has shocked Egyptologists around the globe,
Yes.
but were other voids cited in other scans?
Yes, the earlier while back there was another scan that supposedly detected an internal spiral ramp, but the most recent scan didn't detect that internal spiral ramp. So
It wasn't
again,
there?
no, the scan didn't detect it. So
Wow.
that's the evidence, but the interpretation of the evidence is a different thing. So what I'm saying is these scans produce scant evidence or evidence that is up to scholarly debate or interpretation. So we need to find out more information. I'm always in favor of more research, more understanding, that type of thing.
Well, because it's just so much fun.
Oh, it
It
is
is so
fun.
much fun to learn things that just completely were unheard of, right? I think
It is
that
fun.
is one of the best things is when you get new information and everyone is like, and then it's the talk of the globe.
It is. But
It's
the builders of the Great Pyramid were geniuses. They weren't knuckle draggers,
no, they were
and
not.
they didn't care about us at all. So they didn't build anything to tell us something. What they wanted was their children to eat every day. Just like that's why they built the Grand Coulee Dam or the Hoover Dam. People
Yes.
wanted to be able to see at night. So they built this great infrastructure, and it turned poverty into prosperity, and it turned the desert into a garden. And that's what the Great Pyramid was all about. It was a life machine, and it had nothing to do with death.
You know, people are always so surprised that something like that would be possible in a desert area. But, you know, you had the Tigris River, which was so powerful in transforming Iraq when they were able to channel that water and create those gardens back in the day. And it was a paradise.
You are correct. The largest structure in North America is the Grand Coulee Dam, and it is built on the Columbia River in eastern Washington. And that dam, biggest structure in the world, it has it is a self it makes electricity, but it's also a self-powered water pump. It uses that electricity to run big pumps that are inside the dam up to this higher reservoir, and then it irrigates 1.5 million acres. So it's pretty amazing, and its operating cost is for the year is paid for after it runs only for 2 weeks. The rest of the time is like pure profit, if you will, return on investment. So, yeah, these infrastructure projects, if done right, can be a huge return on investment.
That's astounding. You know, if that is the case, then why do people, I mean, if we actually have created a structure that will do this, why does the concept of the Great Pyramid having been that when there was water readily available, why does that seem so unaccepted? Why are people so shocked by that? They know it's possible. We've done it.
Well, they are shocked by it, especially if they're over 30 years old. Because if you're over 30 years old, you're already invested in an idea. And usually that idea is either about tombs or about alignments or whatever. So people don't change their minds. The Piltdown skull was discovered and it had file marks on it. Okay. It was a fraud. But the people that, the leading anthropologists, the experts, said, oh, there it is, the missing link. Okay. It's right there. Even though it has file marks on it, you can go see the file marks today. Well, none of the experts changed their mind for 40 years, and then they all died off. Then a new generation of anthropologists said, well, nah, that's a fake. So the point is, nobody changed their mind. And that's what happens with the Great Pyramid. Egyptologists have an invested story, even though they can't demonstrate anything,
Right.
Stone cutting or moving stones. So it just takes kind of a generational change for ideas to take hold.
Well, I think that's tragic because you hate to think of somebody being so close minded that they're not open to possibilities. And, I am curious as to what you feel led to this not functioning anymore.
Okay, yeah, the Great Pyramid is not pumping water anymore. That is correct. I think that, excuse me, I think what happened was it broke, specifically in the King's Chamber. There is an expansive force happened in the King's Chamber. The stones of that chamber have been spread apart, if you will. And we think that the coffer in that chamber was used as a water level device. And it's quite technical, but it's all described in my book.
Mm-hmm.
And that water level control device broke. And that caused the King's Chamber to become completely filled with water. And then when additional water came in, it caused an expansive force. All other researchers acknowledge that there was some sort of force inside the Great Pyramid, and you can word search explosive force in the King's Chamber, but we think it was like a hydraulic force.
Mm-hmm.
Christopher Dunn and other people contend that there was some type of a force that caused this expansion of the King's Chamber. So and then it broke the ceiling stones. And then that chamber caused the Great Pyramid to be unrepairable.
Well, that's tragic. Is that something that, with the technology, I feel that with the technology that we utilize as a rule today, that we would not be able to rebuild that structure without a whole lot of people making a whole lot of money trying to come up with different ideas. But rather than just dredging out a path and going for it. But could that be repaired with the technology that we have today?
No, it wouldn't be worth repairing the Great Pyramid because the Great Pyramid serves a different purpose. The purpose it serves now is a tourist attraction. It's a money generating machine now instead of a water pump. So being an ancient artifact, it would be inappropriate to alter it, if you will, or to go in and try to repair it. But a lot of people say the Great Pyramid, we can't duplicate it with the technology we have today. I would disagree with that. We have cranes that can lift many, many tons of stone. We have modern stone cutting equipment that can cut stone with great precision. So if you use modern stone cutting and modern stone moving, if you will, methods, you could recreate the Great Pyramid. In other words, pile a bunch of rocks on top of each other. So, but what we're thinking about is using much smaller a technology like PVC pipe, polypropylene, containers, some custom valves, and that type of thing. And that's what we're doing in our facility. We have a fundraising effort to acquire a 3D printer, and we're about halfway there. So if somebody wants to get involved with our crowdfunding effort, they can go to our website at thepump.org and see what it's all about and see if they want to be involved.
Well, it's a great site, by the way, because the information is there. The book links are there. You can find Steve's books on Amazon.com also. And it's pretty fascinating. Absolutely. But
thank you for that.
Well, it's true. And had I not read, I wouldn't have understood. And some of it I still don't understand. I do a lot of Googling when I read technical things. And especially when I start delving into physics and such, I'm into Googling terminology. So it's
oh
okay.
Boy, I'm the same way, And
well, you don't learn if you don't. Yeah, you got to learn. Can't walk around.
That's better than picking out an expert and saying, I believe what he tells me.
Yeah.
So
right.
I consider you a real researcher by doing what you've described. But can you imagine ancient people building this great big structure because it would actually help them in a positive way? Isn't that a wonderful thing to consider?
It is a wonderful thing to consider. And, the tragedy is that, to my knowledge, the only location of these pyramids in Africa are in northern Africa and
yes.
the Arabian Peninsula. And in South Africa, we have people from America going to dig wells so that separate little towns can at least have a source of clean water. And,
correct.
It just is so, it would be great to have this technology spread throughout areas that desperately need it.
You're correct. Also, this efficient water pumping technology can be used to take water from where there's too much water and pump it away. So like in the Midwest, in Nebraska, where they're having flooding and that type of thing, you could possibly, have infrastructure to remove some of the water. So there's a lot of advantages to being able to move water cheaply and efficiently. So it also would make marginal farmland more productive. So we're hoping to develop this ancient technology. Funding has been a struggle because it's such a, it's so revolutionary, if you will.
It is. It is. That being said, when we come back, we have a question for you in chat, but it's time for our second break, and we will be gone for about 2 minutes, and y'all come back. This just keeps getting better and better with my guest, Stephen Myers.
You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, Birmingham, Alabama.